This presentation will help the team better understand the root causes of the student's challenging behavior, enabling more effective strategies. Understanding behavior also fosters compassion and empathy. For staff, compassion reduces frustration when managing behaviors. For students, experiencing empathy builds self-worth, engagement, and a positive attitude towards school. Compassionate interactions strengthen relationships and create a sense of safety, which helps reduce challenging behaviors. The prefrontal cortex, shown here in green, is the part of the brain responsible for rational thinking, impulse control, decision-making, and emotion regulation. In order for the prefrontal cortex to activate, the brain's lower regions, the amygdala and the midbrain, must experience a state of felt safety and relational connection. Without these conditions, the brain remains in a protective mode, prioritizing survival over reflection and learning. When a student does not feel physically and/or emotionally safe, no emotional engagement, their behavior and body language often reflect that their brain is operating from a protective survival state rather than a learning state. You might see the listed fight, flight, or freeze behaviors. It is important to remember that these behaviors aren't signs of defiance and/or disrespect. They're signals of distress. When students do not feel emotionally safe, the midbrain, which is the relational part of the brain, or the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain, is not accessible. They're not being bad. They're trying to feel safe, in control, and less overwhelmed. When a student doesn't feel socially engaged or connected, their behavior often reflects a need for belonging and relational safety. Often that need shows up in challenging or confusing ways. You might see a student reaching for connection by exhibiting some of the behaviors listed below. Students are wired for connection. When they don't feel seen or valued, they may act out to meet that need, even in disruptive ways. When a student is actively seeking social engagement, their prefrontal cortex has less engagement in that moment. The brain becomes hyper-focused on meeting the unmet need for connection, often leading to impulsive or disruptive behaviors driven by emotional survival rather than logical thinking. Take a moment to read through the indicators for physical and emotional safety and felt connection. In summary, if a student feels emotionally and physically safe and socially connected, they can access their prefrontal cortex to think and learn effectively. If they do not have safety, they go into fight, flight, or freeze mode. If they do not have connection, often humans do maladaptive things to feel connected. There are two things that impact a human's ability to feel emotionally safe and connected. The polyvagal nerve, part of the autonomic nervous system, runs from the brainstem through the body, connecting to key organs like heart, lung, and the gut. Its job is to constantly scan the environment and relationships for cues of safety or threat. When it senses safety, connection, and calm, the body stays in a regulated, socially engaged state where learning and reasoning are possible. But if it detects danger, disconnection, or unpredictability, it sends a message to the amygdala to activate the survival response, triggering a fight, flight, or freeze. In this state, access to the thinking brain, the prefrontal cortex, is limited. The body prioritizes protection over learning or connection. Bottom-up emotions are emotional responses that are triggered directly by the body's nervous system rather than through conscious thought or reasoning. These emotions arrive from sensory and physical input, what we feel in our bodies, before our brain has a chance to make sense of it. These are experienced through interactions with the environment. Breaking news. Humans have a varying degree of nervous system sensitivity. Research shows that humans who are diagnosed with autism, ADHD, anxiety, and/or depression, or have adverse childhood experiences, have more sensitive nervous systems, meaning they are shifted into a stress state more easily. When they are stressed, emotionally taxed, tired, or on sensory overload, their nervous system is dysregulated. This is the body's natural response, like breathing. The nervous system needs frequent resets to emotionally regulate. The second key impact on a person's ability to feel emotionally safe and socially connected is the development of social and emotional skills. These skills, such as recognizing emotions, managing impulses, building relationships, and empathizing with others, develop at different rates for each individual. Factors like early experiences, trauma, neurodiversity, environment, and support systems all influence how and when these abilities grow. Because of this variability, some individuals may struggle more than others to connect, regulate, or respond in socially expected ways. These skills, called the CASEL competencies, are the foundation for emotional and social growth. As a team, we will intentionally model and teach these competencies to the student and ensure they are clearly documented and embedded in the support plan. Many students are entering our classrooms with sensitive nervous systems and delays in social, emotional, and academic skills. This collides with expectations, demands, and stimuli in the classroom environment. When students are overwhelmed or underprepared to meet these expectations, we often see this reflected in their behavior, engagement, and emotional regulation. The student support plan is designed to provide targeted interventions and strategies that help the students stabilize and succeed in the classroom while they continue to develop the social, emotional, and neurological capacity to meet expectations of the learning environment. The plan offers the support needed now while building the skills for long-term growth and independence. Students' triggers can seem unpredictable because their window of stress tolerance changes day to day. Some days they can manage stress well. Other days, even small challenges feel overwhelming. The student support plan should include strategies to help keep their window of stress tolerance open so they can stay regulated and ready to learn. A student's emotional state is shaped by the biology of their nervous system and their stage of social and emotional development. This is the bottom of the iceberg, often unseen. The behaviors we observe are just the tip of the iceberg, emerging from what lies beneath. A strong student support plan addresses the underlying emotional drivers and works to reduce situations that trigger dysregulation, while supporting the student's ongoing development. At this time, we will create a plan aimed at helping the student stay regulated throughout the day. However, if challenging behavior occurs after the plan is in place, staff should view it as a signal that the student may not feel emotionally safe or socially connected in that moment. Staff should work to identify the triggering expectation or situation, reduce the stressor when possible, and collaborate with the student to problem solve and restore regulation. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation and for your thoughtful collaboration in developing a student support plan. Your commitment to understanding and supporting the student makes a meaningful difference.